Welcome to our tutorial video on Meteor for iPad. During this video, I will be taking you through some of the basic recording features. To start, you need to enable the record monitor so that you can hear what you are recording. You can do this from the options menu or from the monitor button at the top right of the toolbar. If you wish to add effects directly to the recordings, press the effects button and assign an effect to one of the record effect buses. You can assign up to 3 effects at any one time. If you're assigning effects that are linked to tempo, then it's probably a good idea to set the tempo before you start recording. You can change effect settings by pressing the effect rack button on the tab bar at the bottom right of the screen. The obvious advantage of using record effects is that it reduces the CPU burden on playback. I'm going to show you how easy it is to create perfect loops just by playing a repetitive passage on my guitar and then splicing that up. So I'll start by enabling the metronome for play and record. Press the arm button on the toolbar and press play. Here we go. Now, as you can probably hear there, my timing was all over the place, so I apologise for that. But we should have enough to be able to create a perfect loop. Now, before we start looking at loop points, I just want to draw your attention to the clip ID, which is displayed in the top left-hand corner of each clip. I'll be referring to this clip ID later on in this example. To define a loop, just drag your finger over the ruler. Enable loop mode and press play. You may have noticed when I selected the loop point that it snapped to bar increments. You can change that using the quantize on the transport bar. As you can see, Meteor is cycling around the selected loop points. You can drag the start and end loop point in real time as it plays. So all I'm left to do now is find a section where the timing is as accurate as possible. And hopefully there's no clicks and pops as the cursor loops back to the beginning of the sample. And if this doesn't result in the perfect loop, you've always got the choice of loading the sample into the sample editor and using the various tools there. So now we've found our loop point, we need to extract it from the recording. Tap in the ruler to position the cursor at the start of the loop point. Press and hold on the clip and pick Split at Cursor, making sure the clip is selected when you do so, and then repeat for the end point. Now, something I want you to be aware of at this point is that all 3 sections have a clip ID of 10, which means they all reference the original recording. Now, I've just deleted the bits I don't want, and we can copy and paste this over and over again to create the perfect loop. The important thing to note here is that we haven't actually cut up the original sample, and that sample is still intact and available in the audio pool. So what we have here is 4 audio clips, all referencing the same original audio sample. And we know this because each of these clips has a sample ID of 10. So let's see how this loop sounds. Okay, that didn't sound too bad, but just bear in mind if you make a change to one clip, you're making a change to them all. So if you take a look in the audio pool, you can see that there is only one sample, and that sample is exactly as it was originally recorded. Now, if we only intend to use part of the original recording in our song, it might be an idea to duplicate the clip and get rid of the original recording. To do this, select and hold on the clip and select Duplicate Clip from the pop-up menu. Now you just have to tell Meteor whether to add a new clip or to replace the original. In this case, I've replaced the original. Now notice the duplicate clip has a different clip ID, which means it's created another sample in the sample pool. The new sample being considerably smaller than the original. Now all this might seem a little bit confusing at first sight, but it makes for a very, very flexible system. Okay, I've replaced all the clips that reference the original recording and placed them with versions that point to the new one we've created. Now the only true way to delete a sample is via the audio pool. And in here you'll find a delete button, but there's also something called tidy. If we press the tidy button, it will delete all samples from the audio pool that are no longer referenced by the project. A great way to tidy things up. Now I'm going to tap and hold on one of these clips and choose duplicate and then create a new copy of this sample. I'm doing this because I want to apply an effect to the sample and I do not want to affect the original. Now, as we've seen previously, duplicating a sample creates a new version of that sample, hence the clip ID of 2. So if we apply an effect to this newly created sample, it will not affect anything with a clip ID of 1. In this case, I've simply created a reversed version of the original sample. And if we duplicate this sample and play alongside the original, we should get a nice layered effect. Now if we take this reversed sample and copy and paste it several times, you'll notice that they all have a clip ID of 2, which means they all reference the original recording. So now there's only 2 recordings in the audio pool. Now if we change to mix mode, we can make minor changes to the mix without actually having to call up the master mixer. And we can make volume and pan changes on the fly as we're laying down our tracks. So let's see how this sounds. Okay, that's all for now. Look out for other tutorial videos coming soon.